Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the journey of a YouTube creator. We're going to look at what really separates that wildly successful 1% from the other 99% who, well, just never quite make it.
So let's just start with a quick dose of reality, shall we? Right now, as we speak, there are over 155 million channels on YouTube. Think about that. That's the scale of the field you're playing on.
And out of that massive number, a staggering 90%, 90, will never even cross that first major milestone, 1,000 subscribers. It means the huge majority of channels, they just never really get off the ground.
Okay, so what about the ones who get to 1 million subscribers and earn that coveted gold play button? That number is less than 0.05%. To put that in perspective, that's like one single channel for every 2,000 that exist. Wow.
So what's the secret sauce here? What's the magic trick? Well, it's not luck, and it's definitely not some hidden algorithm hack. It's really about understanding the journey and, most importantly, avoiding that first huge hurdle where pretty much everyone stumbles and falls.
All right, let's dive right into that first big obstacle. We're calling it the Great 99% Filter. This is that brutal stage where all those unrealistic dreams just collide head-on with hard reality. And yep, it's exactly where most people quit.
You know, it all starts with a fundamental clash of mindsets. The 99%, they often see YouTube as like a lottery ticket. They think, oh, I just need to upload a video, or if I can just get one viral hit, I'm totally set. But the successful 1%, they see it as a craft. They know it's a skill that has to be built piece by piece through consistency and a whole lot of patience.
And this difference in mindset, it leads down a very predictable and honestly kind of painful path. First, you've got these huge, unrealistic expectations. Then, bam, reality hits when their first few videos get like no views. Pretty soon, demotivation starts to creep in. And finally, they quit, totally convinced the whole thing is rigged or impossible.
But what about that 1% who actually managed to push through that first filter? Well, they don't just magically succeed, no. Instead, they face a whole new set of challenges, a gauntlet of really clever traps that are just waiting for the survivors.
So, the very first trap is what you could call passive learning. This is where you spend hours and hours just watching how to grow on YouTube videos. This kind of stuff tricks your brain. It feels like you're being productive, it feels like progress, but in reality, you haven't actually applied a single thing you've learned. The second trap is falling for just plain bad advice, and you have to get really good at spotting the red flags. I mean, if someone is promising you overnight success, or they're pushing some shady, unethical tips like buying subscribers, or they're just obsessed with secret algorithm settings, just run the other way, seriously. And the final trap is the skill gap, and man, this one is tough. Knowing that a good thumbnail is essential for getting clicks is one thing, but being able to actually design a good one, that's a whole other story. See, knowing is not the same as doing, and bridging that gap requires practice, patience, and putting in the hours most people just aren't willing to do.
So, if you manage to dodge all of those pitfalls, what's the actual path to success look like? Well, that brings us to the solution, the 9 rules that the top creators basically live and breathe by. Okay, rule number 1, you have to set realistic expectations. There's a huge difference between the fantasy of being a YouTuber and the day-to-day reality of making videos. The work is hard, and you have to be prepared for very, very low earnings until your videos are consistently hitting some serious view counts.
The second rule is incredibly important. Don't quit too early. I mean, take the creator Saklan Khan. To a lot of people, it looked like he went viral with his very first video. But what most people don't see are the 500+ videos he'd already made on a previous channel. That's where he put in the reps. That's where he honed his skill.
And that brings us right to rule number 3. You have to actually apply what you learn. Before you click on another growth hacking video, just stop and ask yourself, have I actually implemented the key takeaway from the last one I watched? Even a tiny 1% improvement in each video is real, tangible progress.
Next up, you have to be incredibly selective about who you take advice from. You've got to filter out all that noise and avoid those red flags we talked about. Instead, find genuine creators who are sharing practical strategies and, more importantly, study what's actually working for the successful channels in your specific niche.
Fifth, and this one might sound a little counterintuitive, stop trying to be completely unique right from day one. Instead, you gotta steal like an artist.
Analyze what's already working in your niche, build your foundation on those proven concepts, and then start to add your own unique selling point, your personality, your style, your spin on things.
Rule 6 is an absolute non-negotiable. You have to define your niche. If you can't clearly say who your videos are for, then you're basically just making videos for yourself, not for a specific audience. And without a target audience, consistent growth is, well, it's pretty much impossible.
Now, Rule 7 is all about focus. It's about applying the 80-20 rule to YouTube. This means that 80% of your results are going to come from just 20% of your actions. And what are those key actions? It's the packaging. That's your idea, your title, and your thumbnail. And it's the intro hook. You know, those first 30 seconds that decide if a viewer is going to stick around or click away.
Rule 8 is so simple, yet it's a huge stumbling block for so many creators. Stay consistent. It is the only way to genuinely improve your skills over time, and it sends one of the strongest possible signals to the YouTube algorithm that your channel is serious and worth paying attention to.
And finally, Rule 9, don't be afraid to pivot. Sometimes you can be doing everything right, great packaging, consistent uploads, the whole shebang, but the niche itself is what's holding you back. Maybe it's way too competitive, or maybe it's too small, or maybe it's just not the right fit for you. It's okay to change course.
So as we wrap this all up, the key takeaway here isn't just knowing these 9 rules. It's about taking real, decisive action. And that leads to the most important question of all. Which one of these rules are you going to deliberately, consciously apply to your very next video?